There are fears we can't escape not from ghosts or mysterious creatures, but from the very people we think are the safest. In today's video, you will hear 4 chilling true stories about terrifying experiences that the storytellers themselves had to face. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and get ready to dive into stories that will keep you glued to your screen. Story 1. The virtual friend and the shadow that followed me. Have you ever thought that an online friendship would be completely safe? I didn't, especially after this experience. Between 8th and 10th grade, I joined a small Minecraft server. Most of the players were around my age, 15-17. We played together for hours on Skype, and over time we connected on other social networks. Among them, there was one person I grew particularly close to named Peter. I had heard rumours that he liked me, but he always denied it. I thought it was just a joke since we only knew each other online and we didn't even go to the same school. But then something felt off. Through our conversations I started noticing Peter lying little details but glaring ones. The frustration mixed with fear led me to gradually distance myself. I stopped texting him. Then, out of the blue, after months of silence, Peter messaged me saying he was transferring to my school to get a cheaper tuition fee in the state. He said he would live independently, but what made my skin crawl was he chose the exact school I was attending. The coincidence made my heart drop into my stomach. I bluntly told him that his plan sounded crazy, and the fact that he chose the same school seemed too much of a coincidence to believe. But Peter insisted. He even showed me his flight ticket to my city, sending pictures from the airport. Fear started to consume me when he began posting photos and videos of himself walking around the school, filming the hidden corners and places I usually visited. I remember that day I was bedridden with pneumonia, and luckily I didn't have to face him directly. But the haunting feeling didn't leave. Every day I grew more anxious, fearing that he would suddenly knock on my door. Fortunately, Peter didn't know where I lived, and eventually he left. I sighed in relief, but the fear still lingered. What scared me even more was that the rest of my online friends didn't find Peter's actions strange at all. They even thought it was just a joke, which made me feel isolated, like I was the only one who recognized the lurking danger. I hoped that silence and refusing to meet would end everything. But no 2 years later, when I entered my dream university, Peter appeared again. This time he posted a picture in front of my school library, bragging that he had transferred there as well. I was lucky enough not to encounter him on campus, but the feeling of being watched resurfaced. And then, when I had a boyfriend, Peter contacted me again through Skype with a chilling message. Do you think he will protect you? Fearful, like never before, I decided to block him and cut off all contact, not wanting to know anything about him anymore. But deep down, I knew Peter could still be watching, following my every step. This story isn't just about a toxic online relationship. It's a warning for all of us. Never underestimate the people who appear too often in your life, even if only on a screen. Sometimes the shadow that follows you doesn't just exist in the real world, but can also creep into every corner of your digital life. Have you ever encountered someone like this? Or is there someone who makes you feel uneasy? Be cautious and remember safety always comes first. Story 2. The Night and the Man in the Subway. As a nurse at a hospital in Chicago, I used to think that life in that area wasn't particularly dangerous. But one cold winter morning changed that belief forever. Every day I would go to the subway near the hospital before my shift to grab breakfast or a Diet Coke. The cafe was often frequented by homeless people, but this time there was a man who seemed rather strange. He was sitting in a corner with a laptop and surrounded by trash bags, accompanied by a woman who looked equally unkempt. At first I didn't pay much attention, as it was something I was used to. But when the man started talking on the phone, his mood shifting wildly between anger, mocking laughter, and despair, I started to feel that something was off. Suddenly, the man approached me, and the woman telling me that she had been abused in a nursing home, had severe sores on her body, and was looking for a lawyer to help her. He even pulled out his phone to show me gruesome pictures of the wounds. Since I was in my nurse uniform, he probably thought I could help, and he kept asking for my advice. But his voice was shaky and his emotions kept fluctuating. Then he started making threatening remarks, saying that all doctors and nurses would pay for what they had done. A chill ran down my spine as he became more aggressive in his behavior, and the woman with him looked utterly terrified. The tension peaked when he forced her to pull down her pants, revealing dirty, open wounds in front of everyone in the cafe. The atmosphere became so tense, I felt like I was trapped in a living nightmare. I tried to stay calm and advised that she needed to be hospitalized urgently while I discreetly scanned the room, hoping someone would intervene. But no one responded. Finally, when the man seemed to calm down a little, I quietly gathered my things, muttered an excuse that I needed to get to work, and left the cafe. My heart was racing as I stepped outside. I couldn't help but wonder if I'd been too reckless in confronting that man. Part of me knew that if he had truly snapped, things could have gone very differently. But still, that was a day at work I will never forget. Every time I think back on it, I still feel a shiver. The ordinary moments of life, the ones that seem harmless, can sometimes hide the most terrifying nightmares right before our eyes. And I always remind myself to be more vigilant even with the smallest of unusual signs. Story 3. The Invisible Stalker and the Darkness with No Escape. I'm a student at the University of Illinois, a petite 5'2" blonde girl, and I've experienced my fair share of being harassed or stalked. But the most recent experience left me so terrified that I can't forget it. Every day I walk to class on the familiar path, a 20-minute walk. One day I was walking down this usual route with one earbud in, when I noticed an old pickup truck driving parallel to me, matching my pace. At first I didn't think much of it, since there were many construction projects on campus, and the truck had a construction company logo on its door. But the longer I walked, the more I noticed that the truck had no intention of turning into a parking lot. It kept following me. I tried picking up my pace, and the truck did too. I started to panic, my heart racing. It was broad daylight, and there were many students walking around, yet no one seemed to notice me. The feeling of being isolated in the crowd was terrifying. I thought of several options: run into a nearby building, ask someone for help, or defend myself if attacked. But then a bus came up behind the truck, honking its horn repeatedly, forcing the driver to pull over and let it pass. I went back to my room and started investigating. I searched for construction companies in the area, trying to find the logo on the truck, but couldn't find any company that matched. My roommate suggested I report it to the campus police. I followed her advice, called campus security, and described the situation. They took it very seriously, promised to increase patrols in the area, and reminded students to stay vigilant. But to this day, I still don't know who it was, or if they'll return. Since then, I've been more cautious when walking alone, always carrying my phone ready to call for help, and avoiding wearing headphones when I don't need to. That event not only terrified me, but also changed the way I view personal safety. Story 4. The ghost in the house and the threat from a loved one. I once thought that nothing could be scarier than the darkness within the house. But the truth is that the people closest to you can sometimes be the source of true terror. Growing up, my family was far from normal. My parents divorced and my mother remarried a man who had a son from a previous relationship. He was my half-brother, nearly a decade older than me. I always felt something was off about him. He was tall, rough, quick to anger, invaded my personal space, and frequently said strange and unsettling things that made my skin crawl. I tried to tell my parents several times, but they just laughed it off and said I was imagining things. My mum always defended him, calling it youthful difficulties or his special personality. This left me feeling isolated and powerless. The situation took a darker turn when he began using social media to track my every move. At first, I thought it was just excessive concern, but gradually the late night messages and unexpected phone calls began to send me into a panic. He sent pictures of me that I never wanted anyone to see, and even threatened me if I didn't live peacefully with him. I blocked him, changed accounts, but he kept finding ways to reach out through fake accounts and anonymous profiles. One time I came home late to find my room, light still on the window cracked open, and his shadow standing there staring at me through the glass. I was so scared, I couldn't bring myself to open the door, and had to call a friend to pick me up. The tension at home grew, and even my parents started to suspect something was wrong. But nothing was ever seriously addressed. I had to learn to protect myself from locking doors tightly, not revealing my schedule to anyone, to always keeping my phone nearby. One night, I woke up to strange noises in the hallway. My heart stopped when I saw him standing at my door, holding his phone as if filming me. I screamed, ran downstairs, and locked the door behind me. My mum woke up but couldn't understand what had happened. I knew then that this wasn't a joke or just concern. This was a real living nightmare in my own home. I contacted the police and received support, but I still live in constant fear, never knowing when he might do something unpredictable. My life has never been peaceful, and I hope this story serves as a warning to those who are suffering from threats from someone close to them. Sometimes the horror doesn't come from ghosts or strangers. It can be right within your own home. Sometimes fear doesn't come from what we can see, but from the shadows in our minds and the people around us. If you've had a similar terrifying experience, share your story in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss the next chilling stories. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next shadows.